Bases dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down here. It's a Friday edition. We've got CONCACAF Champions League to recap from last night. We have Europa League, Europa Conference League, all kinds of stuff happened yesterday. We have Atlanta and Birmingham on Sunday. And we got a couple special guests coming up at 9:30. Greg Garza, Michael Parkhurst of Beyond Goals Mentoring. We're starting our partnership with them. We'll have at least one of them every Friday for the season to talk about Atlanta United, MLS, whatever else is going on in the world of the footy. But, guys, let's talk about last night in CONCACAF. It was not a great night for the MLS teams. Colorado didn't really do much and gave up a late goal. They lose. But they get Comunicaciones come into Commerce City with predicted 10-degree temperatures next week. Seattle didn't do a whole lot either. Motagua wasn't able to do much. That was a scoreless draw. That's probably fine for Seattle in the long run. But, Jarrett, not exactly the most inspiring of evenings for the MLS sides in CCL.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to see more. There's nothing wrong with being greedy about it. Colorado I wasn't sure what we were going to get out of that team. 1-0's not great, but yeah, you can turn it around because you're coming home. You're more, and I'm more. I guess I'm thinking more about the altitude being an issue than just the cold. We've gone over the cold after the Minnesota U.S. national team debacle. That you're getting into like 10 degrees. It's pretty hard to. It can be really hard to play in those temperatures.
Yeah.
More than anything for me, it's you're dragging someone a mile above sea level, and if they're not used to it, we're going to see that thing where that game is tight late. One team's lungs are used to it. The other team's lungs have started burning because they're just not getting that same oxygen into the lungs that they're used to because the air's so thin. So that's what I'll be interested in. But Seattle, wanted you to go get a point against Motagua on the road, but whatever. You followed the traditional, get the draw on the road. Now you have to go win it at home. Do that and you're fine.
Yeah, the draw on the road's not bad for Seattle. They only created 4 chances.
16-year-old in midfield.
Yeah, João Paulo not available. Obed Vargas played very well. 92% of his passes, was active defensively. Very, very solid from him. Only 4 chances created on the whole for the Sounders, though. Albert Rusnak had 2 of those. Motagua didn't create a ton either. They created 7. It's a scoreless draw. The Rapids game was the one that was a little more one-sided, in my opinion. I thought Comunicaciones had more of the game than I expected. 8 chances to 6. Rapids failed to put a shot on goal. Comunicaciones didn't have a ton of shots on goal. They had more shots. But, John, the Rapids were the one we had the bigger question about coming in yesterday. The attack is going to be an issue for them because they don't have a dedicated number 9 that you can count on for double-digit goals. They didn't have a double-digit goal scorer last year. I thought yesterday's game showed a little bit of the questions about the Rapids. They can defend, but can they create enough chances to be elite?
Yeah, and it's going to be a running theme until further notice. And we just got to see the first instance of it in hemispheric competition instead of them trying to build for MLS. So maybe it becomes a little more glaring because it's a CONCACAF Champions League match that we're seeing it instead of them building through an exhibition season and preseason getting toward MLS. So for me, yeah, I mean, you're sitting there and you're looking at it and you're wondering what's going to happen. And is it going to be the defense that's going to be leading Colorado with Yarborough in net? And maybe you get a goal here and there, to try to sit there and get a result on the board. I think that for Colorado, it is going to be defense first, but you can't be defense first if you're in a competition that you're supposed to advance in. So, yeah, I've got a lot.
You can on the road. I mean, let's. But if you're going to be defense first, you got to get the clean sheet, and they didn't.
Right.
You can in 180 minutes when you're on the road in the situation. Yeah, you can be defensive. They were in a 5-3-2. Mark Anthony Kaye was the 10. There's a difference. That's not what I want to be clear. I'm not saying that they're a defensive team and that's why they're not scoring goals. I'm saying they don't have a number 9 that can score goals. You can not be a defensive team and still struggle to score goals if you don't have that goal scorer up top. I don't know. I still have questions about Colorado, and as much of it is to do with Nashville coming into the West with the improved LA teams. I think it's going to be more competitive in the West, and I think the Rapids will fall down the table a little bit, but we'll see. We did have, I'm sure it's not the first time in CONCACAF, but we did have the first, as it was described, an infestation. Mike Watts initially said it was an infestation, and he didn't say what it was, and it's CONCACAF. I had, like, that could have went a million different places.
Yep.
We learned it was bees, I guess, in one of the goals. That's a problem. They played there last night in the other match with Guastatoya. So did the bees show up? Were the bees sleeping during the game on Wednesday? Did they not bother anyone on Wednesday?
Yeah,
did they get aroused and angered on Thursday? I don't know.
Because in the Guastatoya match, there was no mention of anything. I mean, to me, it seems more like an invasion instead of an infestation. It's like if there's something that's not there and then there's something that's there, it's like, oh, let's go ahead and hang out here. I think that maybe they just invaded after the Guastatoya match and decided to hang out for the Comunicaciones match.
Yes, I'm sure that was the decision-making process of the bees. Jarrett was just disappointed that Colorado didn't bring the prairie dogs with them.
I was too.
I assumed that was traveling supporters when they said infestation. Like, they brought their little plague prairie dogs to increase the infestation. Also, I need to talk to them about their use of wordage because, as John points out, infestation implies that it is established and it has created a foothold that has to be removed, whereas an invasion would be the bees coming in the middle of the day and posting up in one of the goals. Maybe play some Scrabble, CONCACAF, and sharpen up the brain a bit there.
I don't know. Byrne asks about Colorado and selling young players. Cole Bassett was the one that left, and he's the creative player, and that's another question. Mark Anthony Kaye is a number 10. I don't think will work in the long run. We'll have to see. I think Kaye is more of an 8. Can he create the chances that Cole Bassett did? I don't know. We've never really seen him in that role. But it goes further than that for me. It's not just about Cole Bassett because you didn't have a double-digit goal scorer last year. And I think that's something that you need to have that person to count on in those moments. And I'm not 100% sure who that's going to be for the Rapids. I thought that was evident in this match. They never really looked threatening once they got into the attack. Sam Vines left earlier in the season last year, and Sam Vines wasn't really involved in the chance creation side of things either. So Lucas Esteves played the second half of the season for Colorado last year and was fine. Not really worried about him at left back. From the attacking perspective, Cole Bassett would be the one that's a loss, but you still got to have somebody to create chances for. And that's where I'm waiting to see if the Rapids will spend a little bit because they do have a little bit of money that's come in. I would think they've got some GAM from that. We'll see. See if they can go find somebody. Who knows? Jason Hicks is yelling about Leicester beating Randers. I'm glad Brendan Rodgers showed up and realized the notification on his phone went off.
Rodgers found out it was Randers that he was playing.
Now that part
happy.
You're making up. That part you're completely making up. We don't know that he didn't know who they were playing. He said he didn't know he was in the competition. That's a different conversation.
Oh boy.
You should be glad he was playing Randers and not Rangers after what they did to BVB.
Rangers was pretty good in Dortmund. Dortmund has got some problems. Reportedly, there was a call for a board meeting, according to Sky in Germany. Hans-Joachim Watzke said that's total bullish. He says that a lot, by the way. Mm-hmm. There was no meeting, is what he was quoted by another journalist saying. They've lost 2 of their last 3 in all competitions. They've conceded 9 goals in their last 3 games. They play Mönchengladbach on Sunday. If they don't win on Sunday, they got some problems. Erling Haaland's not playing on Sunday. Erling Haaland might not be ready for the return trip to Rangers. Dortmund's got a few issues at the moment, and your arch enemies, Jarrett, had a pretty good day for themselves.
They did. That was very entertaining to watch, even from my perspective, because now I get to watch people wrestle with the idea of, was it Dortmund bad? Was it Rangers good? It was both. Like, Rangers have looked really flat. Last few times they've played teams that want to bring the fight to them, and they did not look like that. They looked renewed, and they took the fight to Borussia Dortmund. And it started the second half. I mean, you had 3 goals in the first 10 minutes of the second half, and it was completely bonkers. But it should be embarrassing for Dortmund. Like, I don't care that it was a Scottish team. To me, it doesn't matter necessarily just that it was Rangers. It's the fact that you let somebody in a Europa League game come into your building and drop 4 goals on you in 65 minutes or 55 minutes. Like, that's not supposed to happen to anybody unless it's a small team like Cirque Bruges, like welcoming PSG in or something. Like, it's got to be something where it's overmatched, where you're seeing something like that. For it to happen to 2 teams that probably aren't as unevenly matched, now that we look back on it as we thought, that was embarrassing. I wouldn't blame anybody for having a board meeting. Oh yeah, thanks, Top Guy. I'm not allowed to compliment my rival. I'll have to delete my tweets like a certain American striker out of Aberdeen.
Yeah. That's I feel bad for Christian Ramirez. I hope they don't run him out of Aberdeen with some of this nonsense. He doesn't know all of your backstories and hatreds and all of that. Jeez. Anyway,
I guess instead of teaching him these things, everyone wants to yell at him. Whatever.
Yeah,
not like he hasn't been your bright spot this season.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's run the best player that you've had all season out because you want to yell at him because he was watching a game and commented on it on social media. Good grief. Mm-hmm. Sheriff got a win yesterday. Real Betis went to Zenit and won. Atalanta won at home. Porto won at home. Leipzig and Sociedad finished 2-2. Sevilla won at home. Barcelona-Napoli 1-1. That's a fine result for Napoli. They'll be okay with it. Some potential misses there for Barcelona in that one. And the biggest miss was Ferran Torres' club crest fell off of his jersey. That's not good.
Oof.
He had a miss as well. Europa Conference League, just so nobody yells. Leicester won 4-1. Marseille beat Karabag 3-1. Partizan went on the road to Sparta Praha and won 1-0. Bodo Glimt, Jarrett, 3-1 in Scotland. What happened?
They were really good. Like, the third goal's a fluke. First 2 goals, they just absorbed pressure and they hit out on it. And then when Celtic let off the gas, Bodo Glimt just wanted to sit on the ball and just started knocking it around and basically going ole. They're really good. The team is really fun to watch.
Yeah, they were very good in this one. Can Celtic turn that around in the second leg on the road?
I don't know about that. That's it. When it was 2-1, I was like, oh yeah, they'll have a legitimate shot here. Then they give up the third goal on a deflected shot where Callum McGregor steps in to block it. Closes down, steps in to block it, goes off his foot and takes a redirect into the goal. And Joe Hart just does the thing where he's planted because he can't do anything. He's already committed his body one way and then it goes the other way. At 3-1, it's like, that straw has sent the camel to the chiropractor.
Burned, I didn't get a chance to see Tyler Adams starting at center back. He got subbed out after 45. I don't know what the situation is with Leipzig that would force that to happen because that would not be my first or second or third choice. I can't imagine he would do well in that position. I don't know why they did it. They played 3 center backs from looking at the way things played out. He passed at 91%. He was 3-3 on his long balls, 3 interceptions. I don't see any glaring issues. SofaScore didn't crush him or anything. Did they go to 4 in the back at halftime? I'm assuming. Or did he have an issue? I'm not sure. Yes, there's a leak of the Atlanta United kit. We can't really do a whole lot with it here, but not going to pull up the picture and try to insert it into the show. You can find it. It's not hard to find. It's a kit. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it. I actually kind of like it. It's different than what I expected. Other kits have been announced as well. So, hey, look, if there's anything I've learned this week is that people's fashion sense is all over the map, and man, people get worked up about it. So, Jarrett, have you seen the kit? Do you want to give your opinion of it?
It's interesting. I thought it would be more of a solid mint, less of an airbrushed kind of look. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're going a little robot, but yes, that's what I was thinking too.
I thought it would be more solid, less airbrushed look. I don't hate it though. It's fine. It's kit. I'm not going to fight anybody over kit.
No, please don't fight people.
My wife has more than once rolled her eyes at all these conversations of arguing that at their core, sports fans really care way too much about fashion.
It's the second kit. It's different. It's very different. As a commentator, I think I will really like it because I think it will be easy to see the numbers on the back.
Yes.
Depends on what color they are.
Well, Jared, there can only be a couple of colors here. The trim is the darker green, so I think it's going to be that. They're not going to be white numbers on the back of this kit. They're not going to break the gold out or the peach or any of that. I mean, you can tell from the writing. That's how they've always done. So the American Family Insurance logo is in the dark green. The trim's in the dark green. I would assume the numbers and the names are in dark green on the back. Much easier.
As long as you can read it, I'm happy for you.
I'm happy about that too, and I'm happy that you're happy for me. Your microphone's not happy, so I think we're going to kick you out prematurely.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. Your mic didn't want to hang out any longer, so you got to go. People are asking if you're in the cold cut section at Kroger.
No, thank you.
Oh, well, I don't know what's going on. Sorry, Jarrett.
Yeah.
Bye. And I kicked John out too. That's always fun. All right, there we go. Well, Jarrett crashed, and I was clicking to get out, and then you were there, and you get over it. You'll deal with it. You're back.
I always have, yeah.
All right. So there is a kit leak. I'm shocked it took this. What?
There's a kit leak. Yes, I was agreeing with you.
Thank you for repeating. Yes, that was throwing me off. I didn't know you were Flava Flav this morning. Okay. No, don't do that. Don't ever do that. All right. There's a kit out there that people have posted, and I guess somebody put it on the racks a little early. I'm shocked it took this long. This is what always happens. This is nothing new. So unless there is a training shirt that we did not know about, then maybe this is it. And yeah, I'm cool with it. I'm not as into the mint thing as I think some people are, and some people aren't. But you're never going to please everybody with a kit. Some people are going to like them. Some people aren't. It'll be here for 2 years, and that's it. And then you move on, and it could be something else. That's what we know. I don't know anything about the third kit. I don't know if there is a new third kit. I don't know if they can use the old third kit. I don't know what that situation looks like. Other kits that came out this morning, we've learned that Cincinnati will be in all orange with their secondary, which I like. That looks pretty good. I don't know. Abby says she's heard no third kit this year, so I don't know. All orange for Cincinnati. It's pretty bright orange too. If you're into the orange, it is not Tennessee orange. I can tell you that much. That's very different. I guess it's closer to Oklahoma State orange, but it's got blue trim, so it's very bright.
Yeah,
and it will have orange shorts and orange socks, according to Tom Galerter as well. So that's okay. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Domer saying no new third kit this year. Okay. See, I don't get all the information. You guys get information before I get information. So no third kit. It'll be okay. We'll live. We'll be all right. I do agree with Domer. I like the Black Bayou kit for Houston a lot.
Like
That's one of my favorites that is out there. Sean, I disagree that orange is the worst color. I actually kind of like orange. I'm a fan. I don't like the Tennessee orange because it's like pale and weird. Don't really like the Texas orange because it's got like red in it.
It's burnt orange, yeah.
Yeah, it's a burnt orange to be specific. It's just, I like orange. I like plain old orange. It's okay. Yes, you guys have sources. It's true. Domer, that's just mean. Burned with an update on Tyler Adams. Burn's take is that Tedesco, the new manager at Leipzig, doesn't rate him as a defensive midfielder. He's behind other guys. Tried him at center back. Needs to find a new club that plays the old school Red Bull style because it seems like Tedesco will stay. Could be. And look, we see this all the time where managers come and go and players get caught in that shuffle. And you got to adjust to a new guy in charge. You got to adjust to what that coach wants, and he might want different things at your position. So, I mean, again, I didn't see the match, so I can't tell you. Just looking at numbers and looking at ratings, it looks like he was fine as a center back. I don't know what the problem was. But he was pulled at 45. And look, he just might not be Tedesco's cup of tea. And yeah, if that's the case, he needs to go somewhere else. And look, if the rumors are true that Jesse Marsch could be in consideration to follow up from Marcelo Bielsa at Leeds, which would make sense. We talked about this progression conversation a lot with managers. And when you go down the road of a style, if your next guy just completely throws that style out, you kind of wasted your time. Now, Marsch is different than Bielsa. Again, Bielsa likes the ball. Marsch doesn't. But the pressing components are very similar. You can make that transition work. And if let's play out this thread of dominoes of silly season, Bielsa goes, Marsch comes in, Calvin Phillips gets sold for a boatload of money, Tyler Adams comes in, boom, you're good. You're good. That works. Everybody wins. Everybody's happy. I can deal with that. We'll see if it happens.
There were a couple of other names that were associated with,
of course,
the Leeds opening. I think Carlos Cobarin, who's currently at Huddersfield, and former Barcelona manager Ernesto Valverde were also in the article from the Telegraph.
All over the map in names, and we'll see what happens. Marsch's name will get thrown around a decent bit. We'll see if it happens for him. I hope he lands in a good spot. I hope he lands in a spot that makes sense for him. I hope he gets time to do what he does. I mean, you know what he believes. He's been very vocal about it. He has had success. Get him to a spot where they're going to let him do what he does. Let him cook. See what happens. Leipzig wasn't really ready to do that. And he might not have been ready to take that team after the year they had the previous year where they were progressing past and going into some different things. So, you know, it happens. I think Jesse's going to end up being all right. I'm not too worried about that for him. Other things in the news front on MLS as we get Greg Garza and Michael Parkhurst here with us here shortly. Some signings, some other rumors and such. We've mentioned Jairo Torres from Atlas. Chicago Fire have reached an agreement with Atlas to bring him in, according to MLSsoccer.com. Today, NA, Paul Tenorio have had that. That's a big addition. Shaqiri has landed in Chicago, so they'll be in position to get him straight out of the gate going for him. Orlando signed Jack Lynn, one of their draft picks from Notre Dame, got that done. Miami had some bad luck. Ian Frey, one of their center backs, he scored early on in preseason, torn ACL in training, and he is out for the season. All right, let's bring some special guests on the show right about now. First time for our Friday free kick with Michael Parkhurst and Greg Garza. They're going to trade off this season, but 9:30 on Fridays. We're going to talk soccer. We're going to talk life. We're going to talk Atlanta United with these guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, gents. Thanks for having us.
Morning, guys.
Yeah. We're kind of like catching everybody up. I know a lot of people have heard about Beyond Goals, but what I'd love to hear from each of you, and I want to start with you, Greg, is how did the idea come about for you guys to team up in this venture after your playing careers ended?
I think we had this idea while we were still playing. You know, I think it's something that we were very passionate about from the get-go. You know, I think we look back at our careers, whether we were youth players or whether we were veteran pros, and just how much of the word consistency played such a huge part in becoming a pro or understanding the 24/7 athlete mindset in so many different ways. And whether it was just using examples of guys that we thought could have used more mentorship throughout their careers, whether it was at a professional level or even at a youth level. For us, it was very clear that the mental aspect is so fundamental for creating not only your own success, whether it's in soccer for the rest of your life or whether it's in anything else that you choose to do in the rest of your life. So that was I think where the idea had originally come from. Parky is the one that's more responsible than I am, but I'm glad that he had me in mind. And man, we love what we do.
And Michael, what was it about teaming up with Greg in this project to get it done?
Yeah, I think that we both realized that youth soccer nowadays is so much different than when we were growing up, right? Most kids now focus solely on one sport at such a younger age. I mean, we all play different sports. You know, most of us, Greg's journey was a little different than mine. Most of us played different sports up until high school, if not beyond high school. So there's just so much pressure on younger athletes these days. And now that these MLS academies are up and running, and all these MLS Next academies and ECNL and all these different leagues, you know, there's so much pressure on these kids to keep moving up. And what happens when they get cut? What happens if they hit that down point? You know, just realizing that everyone's career trajectory, even professionals, isn't like on a straight arrow going forward, and there's hiccups. And we realize that, you know, families are moving states so kids can go to academies, and there's just, that brings an extra dynamic of pressure, and families themselves, parents, don't know exactly how best to assist their child, how much they should play, how much they shouldn't, where to put them in the best opportunity to succeed. So we just realized there was a lot of people out there that could use our expertise, our information, and our non-biased opinions. So yeah, and obviously Greg was a perfect person to team up with. You know, we've had great careers. Everyone that's ever played with Greg or came across him respects the heck out of him because he's such a good person, good human being. So yeah, it was a natural fit for us. So we're excited about it.
So Parky, since you answered the first question last, you get to answer the second question first, and then we'll go to Greg. Who were some of those folks early on in your life that were key mentors that helped you have that straight and narrow path? And what were those early messages for you that stuck?
Yeah, I think for me, you know, and you know, I say this because we talk to more than just players, right? We talk to parents, we also talk to coaches, and coaches play such an important role in players' lives. And me looking back, like my youth coach when I was little, I had him from like 8 until I went to high school, basically, was so important in my life. And the structure he created for us and what he expected of us at practice, and how we respected him, we respected the game, we respected each other. And that was just the way that we played because that's all we knew. So he was a big influence, and that was in Rhode Island. And then my high school coach in Florida, he really taught me a lot about the game, about tactics. He was really strong and really tough. His name was Tom Durkin, and some guys couldn't really handle the pressure that he put on them. So that was great for me because it really built up that mental strength that's so crucial for success.
Greg, what about for you? Who were those early influencers for you?
I would say all the coaches that I had throughout my whole entire youth career. You nitpick every single little thing that you can and learn from every single coach that you had throughout, whether it's your youth career or even your pro career. When I was young, I'd probably say some of the hardest coaches are probably what helped me the most. Like Parky said, there's a lot of coaches out there that helped you understand what not to do. Are the ones that are probably the most vital throughout your youth career. But I did have one person in particular. He was like a father figure to me. Today rests in peace, but his name was Teodoro Santana. I met him probably at the age of 8. I started doing private lessons with him. He was an idolized ex-footballer who came in the wave with Pele to play indoor soccer with the Cosmos, then ended up at Dallas Sidekicks, played in Dallas for a little bit. And he was the person to me that really created that path, my trajectory to move to Brazil. Sat down with my parents at the age of 11, told them about this opportunity to move to a different country, and really guided me every step of the way until I became a professional soccer player. He got to see that trajectory. He passed away a little right after I became a professional soccer player, but I think that stands out to me. He was that mentor, that guide, that person that allowed me to understand all the rights and wrongs, the do's and don'ts, not only within soccer, but within life. He gave me all these different examples of his personal journey and all the major decisions that he made that whether led to absolute disaster or absolute success. And I really took those to heart and understood, the meaning of what it took, the responsibilities, the accountabilities, and all different little pieces that come apart within a soccer career.
Something that we'll do on the show on Fridays when we have Michael and Greg is kind of pick their brain about different things going on. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot of Atlanta United as the season goes, but we were just talking about Tyler Adams, and Tyler's going through that coaching change where Jesse was at Leipzig. Now he's gone. You have a different coach who seemingly wants something different out of that position. Adams played as a center back yesterday for 45 minutes, not something I'd seen him do. How hard is that transition, Greg, when you have a coach that maybe you have a strong relationship with, and then that coaching change happens and maybe the new guy doesn't rate you the same way?
I actually had that happen to me in Mexico as well. I had a coach to where, I was able to be such a huge part of the attack. That coach ultimately got fired, and we got a new coach, and that coach wouldn't let me pass halfway, wouldn't let me pass half field. So you try and understand, okay, how can I implement the most strengths I have as a player and with whatever's given to me, right? They always say play what the game gives you, and I think as a player, you always have to find a way to adapt to whatever coach might be there at the moment. We always have the saying that coaches are on the Ferris wheel much more than the players, right? You're never going to have that same coach always and forever, and usually the players last longer than a coach at a club, right? So I think in Tyler's mind, it's just understanding that he's got to do anything and everything. Sometimes when you don't want to do things, you still got to do them. That gains and earns that respect of that coaching staff. But just have it in the back of your mind. Okay, it's not going to be like this forever. Whether I go somewhere else or whether there's going to be another coaching change, I always have to find that way to adapt as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Michael, how challenging is it when you build up that relationship with a coach and then there's a change?
Yeah, it's tough, right? It's uncomfortable and it's challenging, but that's part of athletics, and that's part of for sure of professional sports, where you can get traded as well and go to a whole new organization, and things can be so different, right? Things can be asked different no matter what position you play. Like I was playing way more one-on-one in way more space than I ever had been as a center back under Tata, right? It was something brand new to me. And it was uncomfortable at first, right? You expect to have a little bit more security back there, especially when I'm not the fastest guy or the strongest guy or anything like that. Like, shoot, where's all my help? But you have to get used to it, and it's an opportunity to learn and see, like, okay, there's different ways to play, and how do you adapt? And that's one of the things Greg and I always talk about. Like those that adapt quickest, especially to new opportunities and new challenges, are the ones that are going to have the most success. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge for Tyler, and he's a really smart player to go along with an athletic player. So he's gonna pick it up and get through it, no doubt about it.
And Michael, at the same time, those veterans that are around him on that roster, we talk about mentoring here as an aspect of it. You also can you have the feedback of those around you, especially those that have been in the game a little longer than you have, to sit there and help with decision making and path guiding and things like that. True?
Yeah, absolutely. You hope so, right? You hope that some of the older guys on the team can see and notice that a younger player is a little bit uncomfortable or going through a little bit of a tougher time, right? And can you put an arm around a guy and help him out a little bit and let him know, like, hey, you're doing all right, or here's how you can get through what you're going through right now, or here's a couple little tips, or anything to give a guy a little bit more confidence. And it goes a long way for those younger players, and it's something small that a veteran player can just take the time to notice and do something about, rather than just, he'll figure it out, right? I think there was a small example of that last year with Sosa, right? I think that he was very comfortable and had a really good relationship with Heinze. And then when the coaching change happened, I think that there was a little bit of a downspell for him. And, I don't know if anyone went around him. He's a very good player. So he eventually figured it out, right? But it was a bit of a challenge for him there. And I think it was kind of similar to maybe what Tyler's going through.
Greg, do you remember the first time that you got to put your arm around a younger player and be that guiding force, and what that was like for you to help that younger player in that path?
Of course, yeah. I think I give the example of in Cincinnati now, being one of the most veteran players there with little Frankie Amaya, who's not so little no more anymore. He was the first draft pick of that season. A kid from Santa Ana, new to life, right? I think that very first team meeting that we had, he walked in and kind of sat in the corner all by himself and didn't really know what it was like to be in a professional environment, right? I had been to college for a little bit at UCLA, but in a professional environment, you have guys that were twice his age. So it's guys on the team that could have been his father at the time, right? And I think for myself, it was a moment to really take him under my wing. I remember him walking in with his first draft pick check in his hand that he just received from the league, and I asked him if he was going to cash it or check it in or put it in his savings account, and he said he didn't have a savings account. So that was the first thing we talked about, opening a savings account for him, right? And then I asked him what a 401k was, and he had absolutely no idea what a 401k was. So we had about a 3-hour workshop right then and there of explaining life skills for a recent 18-year-old, right? So those are moments right there to where you really understand the value of what an older player can be to a younger player that is coming into the league or whenever possible, right? I'm sure he's able to take those skills and use those life skills, whether it's on the field or off the field. And there'll be a moment to where he gets to pass those things down and pay it forward as well, as a veteran as well. So I think that's super important, just passing it down to this next generation of helping them understand, not only the responsibilities on the field, but also little life hacks and life skills off it as well.
So we're a little over a week away from the start of the MLS season. I want to ask both of you. I'll start with Greg. What was the toughest preseason you went through in your career?
Any one of them in Mexico.
What was so different about it?
Parky probably got a little example of what it could be, but we weren't close to a beach. Man, I just know there were times. I had a Venezuelan coach. Joseph knows him well, Cesar Farias. Gosh, we had to wake up, I think, around like 5:15, 5:30, run miles on the beach. If we weren't doing circuits to where we were running in the ocean with weight vests on or carrying weights, running into the ocean, doing squat jumps in the ocean, and then running back out, diving headers on the beach. This is at 5:30 in the morning, right? And then from right there, you'd go have breakfast, and then you'd go straight to the fields and do more fitness and work a little bit of tactical. Then after that, you'd finish, you'd sleep, obviously, right? You'd take a 2-hour nap, and then after that, you'd wake up again and go to the gym. And that was probably about, for 2 to 3 weeks of just, concentration camp. That it's really funny because within the Spanish language, they always say concentración, right? That's when you sleep at the hotel before the game, or you're because it really is. It's almost as concentrated as you can be. With where you are and what you have, and those were the hardest preseasons I think I've ever had as a pro. But you feel as if you've gone through a year of CrossFit after you finish every single one of those preseasons. You're just the strict regimen of the diet. You were just ripped and lean and ready to go for that whole entire season. It really prepares you, but it takes a blow on the mindset, that's for sure.
What about you, Michael? What was the hardest preseason you dealt with?
Yeah, I think that I played in MLS long enough to see really two extremes, right? I came into the league playing under Steve Nicol and the late Paul Mariner, and our preseasons were a joke, basically. Right? That was a time where you could come in and work on your fitness and get fit. I mean, we went to Cancun, we went to Bermuda, we were going to beautiful places. I mean, Cancun, we showed up, we got a bracelet, and it was basically like we were doing one training session, and then it was like, we'll see you tomorrow. Wow. You can imagine how that went. And then, at the tail end of my career, going with Tata and the new staff, it was like, holy smokes. It was just such a different way to approach things, right? We worked so hard, and I was dead, and just so many exercises and drills and things like that I've never done before in my entire career. And it was like, man, I didn't know that all these exercises even existed. Like, what are we doing?
Taking barbells onto the field.
I've never done gym workouts on the field before, but nice. Hey, there's a first for everything. And like we talked about earlier, you have to adapt. But that first one was tough because my body wasn't used to that type of workout.
So then, Michael and Greg, let me ask you this. We talked about the extremes of training. Let me go back to your first ever day of training in Major League Soccer. Do you remember what it was like, Michael, walking in day one, year one of training camp? I know that, Greg, you mentioned the Frankie Amaya reference there just a little bit ago, but Parky, what was it like for you walking in year one, day one? How wide-eyed were you?
Yeah, God, it was a long time ago. It's intimidating. It's really intimidating. And I went into a fantastic locker room. I was so lucky. I mean, so many of the guys that I played with that year are now MLS coaches or really high up in the ranks and GMs and presidents and everything. It's crazy what a locker room I had. And so I was really lucky. But at the time, right, I didn't know anybody. Thankfully, I got drafted with a college teammate of mine James Riley, and we roomed together. So that helped out a lot, right? Because I had a friendly face with me. But yeah, it's different when you're going in there and all of a sudden, like Greg said, like I was 20 years old and you got some 30-year-olds in the locker room and they're talking about what they're doing with their kids and their houses and this and that. And I'm like, holy smokes, what are we doing for lunch afterwards? Like, are we hanging out all day? Where's the team soccer house type thing, coming from college. So yeah, it's just so different. And there's a lot to learn. It's not just on the field, right? I was probably most comfortable on the field, right? It was, you try and get up to speed quick on the field. It's more off the field. And how do you connect with a guy that's, 15 years older than you and going through a different part of life? That can be challenging.
So Greg, what about for you, day one, year one, walking in the door? What was that like?
Yeah, Josh, I just want to poke at Parky because I know some of the guys he had on that Revolution team, and being a rookie under those guys, I can only imagine. Josh,
Taylor Coleman was ruthless. I saw him destroy rookie confidence. Oh my God.
I wasn't going to mention any names, but I guess we'll go ahead and say who it was, right?
I think statute limitation is passed. I think you're okay.
Right. No, I think, coming into the MLS for me, is a bit of a revival of my career. But day one, just not knowing absolutely anyone, just the anxiety or the pressure of feeling okay, especially within Atlanta United, was not knowing how good we were going to be, what the inaugural season was going to be like, what the fan base was going to be like. I think all of us were just so confused on what was going to happen. And we had to, create some sort of camaraderie very, very quickly. And I honestly think, I tell people today, is just the luckiest of situations for all of us. But at the same time, we have to give credit to the people upstairs. They knew exactly what they were doing, even though they were also taking a huge risk, laying it all out on the table, going all in, right? But at the same time, just a wonderful situation to walk into, to where everything just happened to work absolutely perfect.
So last preseason game this weekend for Atlanta United. I'm not sure how much of the preseason you guys have had a chance to see. Going into that last game, what do you think is the focal point here? Is it, staying healthy? Is it kind of, keeping guys safe from injury? Or is it really that final dress rehearsal to get ready for opening day next weekend, Greg?
It's a disappointing result. You look at it, I can only imagine how Joseph walked off the field after a result like that. But then again, you're also playing against, Chivas had a game against Tigres the day before, their first team. Obviously that's against our first team. So you're probably playing against the under 20 or the second team within Chivas.
Mix
the guys
of first and second team guys. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's those games are sometimes a lot harder, right? Because those guys are the ones that have to show kind of what their quality is to try and get into the roster, whatever it may be on the Chivas side, where you're just trying to ultimately fine tune everything before that first game of within the season on the other end of the spectrum. So, I think it can be a mix of things, at the same time, like you said, you want to make sure everybody is healthy. At the end of the day, anything can happen in preseason. You have Seattle Sounders. You guys played Seattle Sounders in 2019, right, Parky? Didn't you smash Seattle? I think it was like 7-0, their last preseason game, and Seattle ended up, making playoffs that year like they always do. So it's at the end of the day, there's a lot of different things that you can take from it. But preseason in my mind is just making sure you can fine tune the little things and make sure those little mistakes that were costly within that last game don't happen whenever it matters.
Yeah, so Michael, you're coming off of that disappointing result for Atlanta United. Gonzalo Pineda taking the team over to Birmingham this weekend. Should be a really good crowd in Birmingham in Protective Stadium. And it's a week before the opener. What are you looking for in this one from the team?
Yeah, I think you play this one like it's an MLS game. That's how I would approach it, and I think that's how most teams approach their last game. So you start the team that you expect to start next weekend. You give those guys as much as they can. Of course, you want to get some subs in there and keep guys fresh. But from the team, I'd want them to approach this as if it's, week one, game one. So exactly how you're going to play. It's going to be the biggest crowd they've played in front of in preseason. It was an awesome crowd there when they played there. Was that last year or 2 years ago? So yeah, against a good opponent. So yeah, I'm excited to catch that one because they need to obviously work on a few things. And it's preseason, so you could play terrible, and then all of a sudden week one you show up and you kick butt. But you do want to try and build a little bit of confidence and feel good going into that first week. I still remember 2017, our preseason didn't go that great, and there was just a lot of unknown going into that week one against the Red Bulls, and it's probably not the best way to approach a week one. You want to go in there feeling good, feeling confident. So hopefully they can come out of this game on Sunday feeling good and confident.
So, guys, Michael, let me start with you. When it comes to this 2022 squad, what are you most looking forward to seeing from Atlanta United going into MLS season? What are you most looking forward to with this Atlanta United squad this season?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to them trying to get back more to the dominant selves that they can be on the offensive side of the ball, to see if we can get, Amada, Araujo, Moreno, and Joseph all playing together on the same page and electric, right? If those four can, really carry the offensive load for the most part, it sets us up well, right? Where you can, maybe play two defensive mids together and be a little bit safer and allow your outside backs to get forward. But in order for us, I think, to have real success, we need someone else to step up and score a bunch of goals other than Joseph. Those guys, the supporting guys, need to step up and score goals. And I know Moreno had a good season last year and scored some goals. But outside of him, can we get another player to, get close to double digits? And, they've got the squad to do it. I'm really excited about the team they have right now. So hopefully everyone can stay healthy. But yeah, obviously looking forward to seeing that front four, and hopefully Moreno can shake off his little injury, what he's got right now. We can see those guys from the get-go. Hopefully they can build a little rapport there and get going.
And Greg, you can repeat Michael's answer if you want, but what are you most looking forward to in 2022?
I think if you look back at, I'll reiterate what Michael said and just how dominant, the front four was at one point in time, to where those guys would turn from the half field and, every defense would just be, on their heels running back towards their goal, just not knowing how to cope or deal with it. I think we have that talent once again to do that. You have the right players to do that once again. I think the tail end of last season, I think, that was the best I've seen Barco play at Atlanta United. I think last year was his breakout season, and it was a little unfortunate to see him go because I thought he finally, found his stride in understanding what this league offers and how he could implement his strengths and just adapting to Joseph. I think you have another difficult, I wouldn't say difficult situation, but just another adapting phase for Joseph again, because I feel like he's got to adapt to somebody different every single season. That's a lot of weight on his shoulders, a lot of pressure on his shoulders. But I just want to see the dominant front four just really create disaster for a lot of these other teams, because they probably are some of the most talented players within the league.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun season. It's going to be a fun season with you guys. I'm excited to be able to break this down on Fridays, to look ahead to the next game, talk about what happened. We're going to have one of you back next week. We'll have kind of trading off. Well, sometimes we'll have Michael, sometimes we'll have Greg. We're going to have these guys out at events as well all season. It's a partnership with everything you guys are doing and all the great work you're doing with Beyond Goals. So thanks for partnering with us. We're excited.
We appreciate it. Thank you guys for the opportunity. We love being a part of this, and any way we can help and any way we can be here for you guys, and also spreading the word on what Atlanta United is all about. It's, I think at the end of the day, it's more than just a club. It's a brand within this city. So, we're excited for it.
We're excited to have you part of it.
We love talking footy, so it'll be fun.
There you go.
Definitely. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
You too.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Michael and Greg at Beyond Goals. Make sure you're following Beyond Goals on Instagram. BeyondGoalsMentoring.org is the website. Check that out. We're going to trade off. It's going to be one at a time each week, but on Fridays, 9:30, that is going to be our segment to talk with former Atlanta United legends, Michael Parkhurst and Greg Garza. John, you got to tell us about a legend in a different field.
Yes.
It's a little bit different field, but a legend nonetheless. Our good friends over at Eliminize.
Legends in making your lives a whole lot better with odor-free, clean, fresh air. Eliminize service. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos, Eliminize has created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors like pets, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize service to help eliminate bad odors, to help realtors and property managers sell or rent those properties that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind to the environment. Therefore, it is a very green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than the favorite masking agent that you have underneath the sink that just takes care of the odor but doesn't attack the problem. Eliminize does that for you. It's a proven scientific formula that destroys the odor all the way down to the molecule. Pricing very, very easy for you. One of two ways. Cubic feet, parts per million. You choose to come up with the affordable solution for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place to go, and it is their website, eliminize.com. But do us a favor. Use /Atlanta after eliminize.com so they know what part of the world that you are addressing and reaching out to them from. ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, eliminize.com /Atlanta, Eliminize service for odor-free, clean, fresh air. Proud sponsors of everything. SDH.
I'm just laughing at some of the reactions going on about kits and people getting really bent out of shape about kit releases and leaks and such. It's a shirt, y'all. It's going to change. It's impossible to make something that everybody's going to like.
Oh, no.
Absolutely impossible.
Absolutely.
Every kit that has come out, I have seen somebody like, oh, that looks stupid. That's ugly. That's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be 5 people versus 50 people, but still, it's like, it's impossible. Fashion's fashion.
There's absolutely no way that anyone is going to get 100% of the 100% of the time when it comes to a jersey or a piece of clothing representing your favorite club. No way. Not happening.
Ain't happening. You like one of the other kits and you're not playing in it? Buy one of the older kits. You can find them.
There are other kits that if you like it, you can still buy them or find them somehow. If you don't like the new one, you don't have to buy it. You can still rep your club in other ways.
I'll tell you what I think I like about it is that it's not purely just white.
Yes.
It's different in that regard. Yes, there's white in it, but it's not just a white shirt with a different secondary color. I'm glad it was a little bit different than that. Still think it's hard to beat the concrete and strawberry, but again, that's just me. I
mean, it kind of looks like mint chocolate chip ice cream, I guess, kind of, and with the gradients and things like that. So it's not a purely one colored kit. There's a design factor to it.
Yeah, now I see people getting on the broadcaster side of things with numbers. People are asking Tom Galerter about the numbers with the Cincinnati kit, and he's pretty sure that they're blue, and he says it'll be a major gift to broadcasters across the league. Oh, he is so right.
That is absolutely true, because if your numbers match a lighter shade that is attached to the jersey, it is so incredibly difficult to sit there and attach the right name to the right player, so the family and the mom at home doesn't sit there and say, no, you got my, no, it is darker numbers are the best ever when they counteract what you're seeing in a
if it's a lighter shirt, yes.
Yes.
If it's a dark colored shirt and a dark colored number,
that's another problem.
Still bad.
No, that's
still
bad. Yeah, light on light is bad. Dark and dark is bad. Dark on light is good. That's what we want.
Mike Conti joining the show on a Friday. How are you, Mike?
Hey, guys. Good morning. How are we?
We're having Fashion Week discussions in MLS.
Yeah.
Right now.
I feel like Blackwell all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, again, I heard what you were saying about the Cincinnati kids. Like, just let the numbers contrast with the shirt color and I'll be fine.
Bright
That's
orange shirt and blue numbers, I'm good.
Just give me contrast. That's the only opinion I'll ever have.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I think we're going to get contrast with the Atlanta United secondary kits.
Yeah, looks like it. Looks like it. Yeah, I mean they're cool. They're a little bit different in terms of I guess there's a little more of a distinct pattern.
Yeah, a little more than I was thinking.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it had to be of a lighter color. I wasn't really envisioning that the kit would be like a solid light green. I thought it would probably have to be white with me. Well, actually, what I was kind of worried about was that it would be white with the light green numbers and lettering. And it looks like that's not going to be the case. So that's a good thing.
Because you got to have the contrast from the booth distance to the pitch. Unless you've got monitors, and sometimes monitors don't even help.
No, that doesn't even help. I mean, look, at Yankee Stadium, I mean, all the goals were scored in center field. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see a damn thing. And that was with a monitor and a big scoreboard. Like literally, both goals I didn't even know they went in. That's how far away we were from it. I mean, a lot of the booth locations in this league are just terrible. A lot of them are really good, but a lot of them are terrible. So, fortunately with Atlanta United, like I kind of know what everyone looks like. And if there's a similarity, like I think from a distance, Emerson Hyndman and Franco Ibarra can look similar from a distance. Yeah. Then you just hope that they're wearing different color boots and you can figure it out. For some of these opposing teams, yeah. Oh, good night. And I'm kind of hoping on Sunday, for the first time this year, we'll get a friendly where the opposing team is actually wearing numbers. That would be very helpful.
That would be wonderful. Birmingham has helped us out in that regard in the past. I hope they continue that trend.
I have a feeling they're going to – both teams will probably be wearing kits. I don't think it'll be training kits. I'll find out, but I have a feeling that both teams will be wearing full-fledged kits.
Yeah, I would assume so. Birmingham is an interesting opponent for this last game. We had Michael Parkhurst and Greg Garza on, and I'm kind of in the same boat as Parky in this one. You're going into the last game. You're probably not going to play your starters 90 minutes, but I think you do want to get your starting lineup that you expect to play against Sporting Kansas City next week on the field for at least 45. I'm thinking maybe 60, so they can get ready for next week.
I agree. Yeah, and I think that'll be the plan.
Yeah.
With maybe one or two modifications. Like I think some of it will depend. Like, okay, is Marcelino Moreno 50%? Is he 80%? Is he 100%?
Right.
Is Franco Ibarra the same? 50%, 80%, 100%. So there might be some modifications to that. But yeah, I mean, I think the whole reason why you scheduled a friendly literally 7 days up until the moment of kickoff before you play your MLS opener is to get your starters on a schedule where they're playing every 7 days. I know after SKC we'll go to Denver on a Friday and play on a Saturday, so it'll go down to 6 days. But you're just trying to get guys in a rhythm. Part of keeping them in that rhythm is to play them on Sunday. So I think you're going to get a good balance. I agree. I think starters are going to play at least the first half.
Yeah.
I also think it's very important that some of your non-starters play 45 minutes as well because they need the minutes.
If you can make it work. That's the thing. That's the balancing act.
Well, to me, and here's the one where I think you could really if there was a change here, it would not surprise me. Joseph Martinez is obviously ready to go for this season. I don't know if there's a whole lot more he can do from a rhythm standpoint if he were to play Sunday as opposed to taking the day off, where you need to get Dom Dwyer in rhythm and you need to give Jackson Conway a chance to get some minutes. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe Dwyer's with the first group on Sunday. I don't know, but I wouldn't be shocked. I think outside of that, yeah, I think it's Campbell and Robinson. I think it's Gutman.
Yeah.
We'll see about Lennon.
That's a question.
But Hernandez, I kind of see as 1A at right back, and then it seems to be trending towards Alonso again as your holding midfielder right now. It just kind of seems to be trending that way.
Yeah, that's the answer, because Sosa's not ready to play yet, I don't think.
It just doesn't feel like it, does it? So, I mean, it seems to be trending towards Alonso. We'll see on Ibarra, and I think Josetu's still in there. I think Wolf is, Almada would play left wing, assuming his visa is dealt with, but I don't know if it is.
Yeah, there hasn't been an update.
If it's not, it's Wolf, I think.
I agree.
Araujo obviously on the right. And then, look, I'm starting Dwyer. I think, look, this is the reality of where we are right now. Dom Dwyer sounds like he's going to be on this team this year. Get him as much continuity and chemistry as you possibly can. So that's kind of what I'm looking for on Sunday. If Joseph starts, that's great, and it wouldn't surprise me either. If Ibarra can go, that's great. If Almada can go, that's great. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is that going to be the exact same 11 against SKC? No, but it's probably 8 or 9 of the 11, and that's probably where you're going to go. And then, yes, in the second half, Amar Sejdic is going to have to play. Alan Franco is going to have to play just to kind of stay in rhythm, even though Franco won't play next Sunday. I'd like to see Caleb Wiley get another shot. I think Caleb Wiley right now, just looking at the way that the team has been selecting Wiley and Ambrose in these friendlies, that makes me think that Wiley's ahead of Ambrose right now. So Wiley's going to need to play.
I think a little bit with Mikey, and I totally agree. Caleb Wiley has taken every opportunity that's been handed to him, and he's run with it. And you have to when you're in that situation. Mikey gets maybe a little, it's not unfair, because it's where he is as a player. We've talked about this with guys like Mikey Ambrose and Alex DeJohn in this roster, how important they are, even if you don't see them all the time in matches. But Mikey has played as a center back with the second team against Celaya. He has played as a left back a little bit. He's played as a holding midfielder a little bit. He's had to be that utility guy at times, which has opened the door for Wiley, and he's done really well. And if things are going well for Wiley, he does pass him, because then you have a utility guy in Ambrose, who, those are the guys you like to have in your 20-man roster, your 18-man game day roster, because he can fill a bunch of different needs if you get stuck late in a match.
Yeah, exactly. So, but he needs to play. I think that's kind of my big takeaway for Sunday. He needs to play. I think Eric Centeno needs to play. I think Aiden McFadden needs to play.
It's tough because you can't get all these guys games. Play them all. You can't get all of them.
No. Well, and then not only that, the twos don't start until March 14th, I want to say. Is that right?
Right. March 12th.
Or 12th. Okay, but still 3 weeks from this weekend. Yeah. So you've got to find a way to get some of these guys to play, because, honestly, I'm looking at who are the 23 guys who are going to take to Denver in 2 weeks, and I don't know if Eric Centeno is for sure on that airplane yet.
He might be here. I don't know if the twos in a preseason game, and I think that's the other thing, is the twos don't play regular season games until the 12th, but they're doing the weekly, and I think in March, around that time of the Rapids game, they're actually doing a midweek as well.
There you go. Okay,
so
good.
They're doing games, and it wouldn't shock me in this case if Lennon is ready to go and can give you something off in this game, whether it's 45, whether it's 30, whatever. McFadden might stay in Atlanta and play with the twos in their scrimmage on Saturday to make sure he gets those minutes since he's a twos guy.
That would make sense. That would make a lot of sense because
a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, a lot. Yes, very much so. And there's look. I mean, team hasn't really done media this week. Joseph did an MLS media thing yesterday, but I mean, we really have no updates on Moreno or Lennon or Ibarra or Sosa or any of these guys. So I mean, we're in a lot of hypotheticals right now just because we don't have updates. You know, we might not find out until Sunday, but absolutely. I mean, if Lennon is 100%, then, you know, the dominoes fall and it impacts, you know, potentially how McFadden and Centeno and some of those other guys fit into what the first team is doing. Same with Sosa, same with Ibarra. So same with Almada. If the visa thing is cleaned up, I mean, that has a huge impact on what happens with Tyler Wolff, in my opinion. So, you know, hopefully we'll get some answers to this on Sunday. If not, that's okay too, because you've still got another 9 days to sort all this out. Well, really a week for roster compliance, but 9 days to sort it out for SKC. That's still plenty of time and plenty of time for guys to get right.
So, two-part question, and you can take the core of my question and interpret it however you want. Who has impressed you the most in camp this year, and who still has work to do to either maintain their spot or not lose their spots from what we've seen so far?
Yeah, you know, on part one, I feel like I have a different answer every time, but I'm starting to really kind of drill down on Gutman as the guy who I think has impressed me the most. I didn't really expect that there would be any kind of drop off at left back with Bello leaving. I'm almost starting to wonder now if, and this is absolutely no slight on George Bello whatsoever, please don't think it is, but I'm actually beginning to wonder if Atlanta United may even slightly upgrade at left back this year, just based on what I've seen from Gutman so far. He's really, really impressed me and surprised me that he's a faster player than I thought he was. I just did not see enough of him at Red Bull last year to understand that. Red Bull also plays a system that I think conceals a lot of their players' talents, to be fair. So Gutman has really, really stood out to me. Really, really like what he's done. Player who has to do more. Boy. I don't know. I think, again, Conway had to dominate in this preseason when he had a chance in order to kind of seize that backup striker role. I don't believe he has dominated, but again, I'm not seeing in the training sessions. I'm just basing that off what I've seen in friendlies. Conway, I think, can be a really, really nice player. I think he reminds me a lot of Kevin Herter on the Atlanta Hawks. He's a guy who plays really, really well when he has confidence. And, you know, the club needs to put him in a position where he can build confidence. And if that's going to be in USL Championship to start the year, so be it. But I don't want that to sound like a negative on Jackson Conway either, because I just don't know what he's doing in training sessions. And what I can see is that obviously he's put a lot of work in the weight room. So I don't want that to sound like a negative, but right. I mean, if I had to pick one player, it would probably be him.
If I'm going on the positive side, guys who've kind of wowed me a little bit, Ibarra has at times. I think he's more quality on the ball than we saw last year and than we've seen from him in his career. And if he can do that and not lose some of the defensive side of what he brings, he's going to push for playing time in that crowded midfield. And that's kind of where I'm looking at the pluses and the minuses. And right back's the other one. I think McFadden's been good, but he's not under an MLS deal yet. I don't know if they're going to be able to create the space to do that right now. I don't think they have to, because you have Brooks Lennon, you have Ronald Hernandez. And I think we have seen Hernandez in preseason, and it's been pretty good. But he's in I think, a battle to play with him and Lennon. And it is a battle, and that's a good thing. It's good for both of them because they're both good players. They're different. But I don't know if Hernandez has done enough with the time that he's had to lock down the job. And that opportunity, I think, was maybe there for him coming into preseason. So we'll see. We'll see. When Lennon gets healthy, we'll see if it's one of those situations, and we've talked about it in some of these other parts of the field, where you have to kind of wait it out for that person to have a slip to get the job, to get the opportunity. We're going to see that in the central midfield with, mentioning Ibarra. You've got Osechu. Alonso will have that spot for now because Sosa and Heinemann are just further away from being ready. I don't think either one has been involved in, they haven't played any games, but I don't know how much they've been involved in like contact kind of drills. They're getting close. And I don't think I don't think there was an expectation that they would play opening day. I didn't have it. Sosa was closer to that than Heinemann, but I didn't really expect either one. But when they get healthy, are the jobs going to be locked down a bit by guys who are playing well and have built up a good chemistry? Or is there going to be an open door for those guys to potentially come back in and get those spots? I think Sosa has the more open door because we don't expect Ozzy Alonso to play, 2,000 minutes this season. I think at his age, you probably want to limit that. So Sosa will get more of the open door when he's ready. But Heinemann's great player, and he's going to have to fight for playing time with a really crowded, talented central midfield.
Yeah, and one other player that I just want to shout out as really impressing me this preseason so far is Centeno. Going into the draft, I thought, well, Atlanta United, I mean, if they find a guy in this draft who might be able to stick around a little bit, great. But, in all likelihood, you're probably not going to find a first-team guy in this draft. And Centeno has proven me completely incorrect. And to be honest with you, I think Centeno and his emergence has made the Jurgen Damm thing a little more final, to be totally honest with you guys. I think Centeno, looking as good as he has and playing as solidly as he has, gave everyone kind of the confirmation that, okay, if we have to move on from Jurgen Damm, we're going to be okay. We have some cover there. So I wanted to shout him out too. I mean, he's probably not going to be, he's almost certainly not going to be a 34-game starter for the first team, but I think he's going to play for the first team this year. And he's earned it with the way that he has performed in this preseason. Again, at least from what I have seen in the friendlies, because we do not see the training sessions.
Right. When it comes to Birmingham, I know this is going to be one of those tests that you want, because there are some folks for this side that are looking to prove themselves and look at this as an opportunity. You've got guys like Mikey Lopez, Johnny Dean, and this is if they put their first choice out there. You've got a solid USL Championship keeper and a guy like Matt Van Okel. You've got Prosper Kasim up top. I mean, this is going to be one of those tests that you want to lead into your regular season for a team that's going to want to prove themselves on a bunch of different levels.
Well, they don't play first choice. They're not going to have a team. I think that, I mean, I don't know how many trialists they have in right now, but I think they only have like 14 or 15 outfield players right now, not including their trialists. So they're going to have to go with at least some form of first choice. Look, really good USL Championship side. That's no news to you guys. You saw them play a couple times last year. Their matches against the twos tend to be chippy. Mm-hmm. And I think Birmingham will go out. They'll try to compete, but they're also going to try to entertain their fans on Sunday. I'm actually in Alabama right now. You guys know that. It's freezing out here today, but the weather on Sunday is supposed to be gorgeous. Great day on Sunday at Protective Stadium, which I drove by yesterday, and it will be very, very easy to find if you're coming over from Atlanta. It's literally right off 20.
Get right there early, though, if you want to find a parking spot.
What? Say that again?
Get there early if you want to try to find a parking spot.
Yeah, I got to, when I hang up with you guys, I've got to figure out the parking situation a little bit. But anyhow.
Let me know on that one. Come on.
Yeah, I will. In fact, yeah. Johannes, if you're listening, you're about to get a text. So now, look, they're going to want to entertain their fans. They're going to have a big crowd there. Keep in mind, Birmingham Legion is not in fitness right now to the extent that Atlanta United is. Now they've been in camp for a couple weeks. I mean, it's not like they're totally ice cold, but they're not going to be at the same level of fitness as Atlanta United, that just went through a pretty intense 2 weeks in Mexico and is now kind of snapping into, a game week routine, MLS week routine. So just be a little bit careful about that. If Birmingham might look a little bit heavy-legged on Sunday, that could be a reason why. But no, I mean, look, Anderson Asayadu and Mackie Jope, I think, are going to want to, make statements with their play. There are players on this team who have been in MLS recently. And there's a couple players on this team I think are really, really close to being in MLS right now or another top league around the world. So it's a good team. You're right, John. It'll be a good test for Atlanta United. Again, what you're hoping for, please don't anyone get hurt. You had enough of that last weekend in Mexico.
Oh, no.
2 years ago, we came to Birmingham. George Bello had a really scary injury. Don't need any of that. But again, I just want to see, I think this is not a Birmingham thing, John, and Birmingham will make it difficult to play through, but I just need to see the connections look better in the final third for Atlanta United. It got really, really ragged at times last Sunday, and I think fatigue had a role in some of that.
Yeah.
But Birmingham will give Atlanta United a good test, but Atlanta United's got to play a lot better and look a lot more refined than they did last week. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I've always felt like having a little bit of adversity in preseason is a good thing on the field.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just walking through teams throughout preseason, I don't think you're ready for opening day. And getting punched in the mouth a little bit is a good thing. And as we've talked about, I think the scheduling was done intentionally to have the toughest time at the end of your toughest period, where you're away for, a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, in Mexico, doing a lot of double sessions, really working hard physically and tactically. You have your toughest games at the end of that. Then you kind of get into a normal rhythm that you're going to have throughout the year. And you get this opportunity to go face a team that you should beat, but it's not going to be easy. I'll give you a Birmingham player to watch for that I really like. That if you're looking for a guy who could be a surprise to make the jump to MLS, he's the guy that I would pick. Johnny Dean, the right back. He can play on the right wing, from Macon originally. So fast. The speed on this guy, good grief. He was the fans' choice MVP for them last year. They love him over in Birmingham. He's just a fun guy to watch. And he's one of these, guys who in college played a little bit more in an attacking role, converting to more of a defensive role. He's a good defender, but his pace against Atlanta's left side, like he'll give Gutman work. He'll make it difficult for Andrew in this one because of his pure speed. He's a fun player to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I mean, I like the way that Birmingham kind of constructed. I mean, Johnny Dean's a good example, but I think, they found a couple guys with a little bit of MLS experience. They found a couple guys who came over from Europe who actually played in, a couple first divisions in Europe. Yeah. And then they added, kind of sprinkled in some local guys, players from Alabama, players from the Huntsville area, players from the Mobile area. I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, I think it's a really good kind of cross section for, the top club in the state, right? I don't think anyone's going to object to that designation. That this is the only USL Championship team in Alabama, correct? Mm-hmm. So. I think kind of by default, they're the top club in the state of Alabama. I love how they've constructed themselves. And look, I mean, Jay Heaps is a really, really smart guy who has done a tremendous job building this club in Birmingham. I think in the new stadium, they're going to be very, very successful from an attendance standpoint. Very successful.
They did the one game at Legion Field last year because of the field issues at their old place, and they got over 5 figures. They had over 10,000 for that, and it was kind of last minute.
Yeah.
I think they're a team that protective all year long, and people come out and sample that product. It's a good product. They're a fun team to watch.
And they
you
have
can
a good,
average over 10,000.
I agree, and they have a good local support culture too.
Yeah.
Birmingham reminds me a lot of Atlanta in a lot of different ways. Geographically, obviously, but just in terms of, the diversity of the city, the kind of youthful nature of the population. It's a couple colleges, a very young population.
It shifted back because it was kind of a city that I thought was, I guess, struggling a little bit there for a while, but it's gotten a lot younger. It feels like it's a little bit of a rebirth for Birmingham right now.
Yeah, really does. I really enjoyed our time in Birmingham 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I know you're doing a show there tomorrow, Jason. And I think the turnout's going to be great. So anyhow, they've had a lot of on the field success in USL Championship. They were second in their conference last year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
They've developed a style with which they play. It can be an irritating style to play against if you're their opponent, but they definitely have an identity. And I think they just have a really nice cross section of players. So it'll be a great test for Atlanta United. That really, in my opinion, about as perfect a test as you can get going into the league season. If you were to put Birmingham Legion in MLS, I think they could compete with a couple teams in MLS and on any given day beat them. If they were an Open Cup, the Legion's not a team I'd want to draw in Open Cup because they'd be springing some cup sets, especially if they were playing against maybe another team from the southeastern United States. Well, I'll just come out and say it. If I'm putting Birmingham's roster and Charlotte's roster side by side, I think that's a competitive game.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
I didn't say it, but I agree.
No, I'll say it.
Yeah. I've been accused of being
right
mean
now.
to
That's
Charlotte.
A competitive game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and who are you going to play in 3 weeks? Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good test, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll see if they break out the new kits that they're unveiling here in town on Saturday night at Piedmont Park, and seeing some people in the Twitch pitch who are going to go to the kit reveal and then make the trip over to Birmingham on Sunday for the game. The kickoff time is perfect. You don't have to get up crazy early, head over, get back before it's too late. It's a perfect setup for people who want to make a day trip out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I did the drive yesterday. No construction right now.
Whoa, that's just shock.
Yeah, no, it looks good. 20 looks great.
It might be the first time in my life that's happened.
Yeah, it was speed limit all the way out. Buc-ee's is opening well in Leeds, and
there you that is the stock stop when we're coming home from Birmingham, to stop at the Leeds Buc-ee's and fuel up on the brisket.
Oh, geez. I'm going to Milo's. I'm going to have a burger at Milo's.
Saltines. There's a lot of stuff that the boss picks up when we go to Birmingham.
Yeah, we did the warm pecans and the what's it called, the beaver nuggets yesterday, and the jerky. I got to tell you, the jerky wall in Leeds is a little bit lean compared to the one they have down in Warner Robins right now.
Yeah,
but we thought that corporate might have been visiting yesterday because there were a lot of people wearing khakis who were talking to customers and everything like that. But no, I mean, it was a super easy drive yesterday for us, and I'm sure it will be for everyone on Sunday.
We're talking crazy food and stuff in the South, and of course, Jarrett Smith hears that beacon and shows up.
You're welcome.
Yeah, basically. Okay, Mike, before we let you go, what is the most important thing Atlanta United can get out of this game on Sunday?
Well, I mean, aside from the obvious, stay healthy.
Yes.
Get into dangerous areas and make something of the opportunities. I don't know if Opta is going to be scoring the match, but I need to see key passes up over 10. Get the ball into dangerous spots. Whatever happens on the finishing end will happen. I just don't think last Sunday we saw the ball get into dangerous spots enough, because the links in the final third are not yet solid. They need to be more solid on Sunday, and I want to see more scoring opportunities. If you get burned on a counter, whatever. I need to see this team a little more contiguous in the attack, and I hope we're going to see that on Sunday. By the way, Milo's, I saw a sign for that. Is that the same Milo's as the Milo's tea?
Yes. See, it just came up. Yes, it's the same company, and they do the tea everywhere, but they have it's a fast food restaurant.
Okay.
And the sauce that they have with their burgers, I don't know what they did to create this, but it is the nectar of the gods. It's amazing.
Okay.
So
hey, there's also a Whataburger now open on I-20 on the way out. So
Milo's.
So, Milo's for lunch and Whataburger for dinner, or vice versa. That's always in play.
Now, that could work. But, I'm definitely stopping at Milo's one way or the other on this trip. There's one, I think it was just outside of Birmingham coming back. So, on the way to Birmingham, before you get there. That was where I stopped last time. Was blown away. Absolutely blown away. It's good stuff. Mike, thanks for the time. Thanks for carving out a little time of your vacation. And I'll see you on Sunday.
See you on Sunday if we find a parking spot.
Good luck with that. See ya. Mike Conti will be on the radio at 3 o'clock Eastern time, 2 o'clock Central if you're listening via the app. Pre-game coverage for half hour. Kickoff will be right about 3:30, and then we'll have an hour of post-game coverage, full-time report. That'll be out as a podcast afterwards. It's a very busy weekend. We're getting a lot of Milo's talk now. Jared, have you been to the Milo's?
I have not.
Oh, highly recommend.
Sorry, I'm a bit behind here.
Highly recommended. Michael Head is
drink the sweet tea, but I've never been to the restaurant.
And Michael Head is 100% correct, because I had to do the research when I saw it, because I knew the logo from the sweet tea. It's a Birmingham tradition. It's been in Birmingham since the 60s at least. I think it's a little bit older than that. There were two, because I can't remember the other one off the top of my head.
Lusa?
No, John, stop. There were two different fast food restaurants that are kind of Birmingham traditions that didn't make it very far, but they're still around. I cannot remember the other one. I don't know. It'll come to me or somebody will have it. But yes, 46. Thank you, Thomas. Yes. Milo's is awesome. It just never got widespread, but it is absolutely worth the stop for sure. Jack's, I think you're right, Thomas. I think that's it. I think it's Jack's is the other one. I think it's around the same time. And I think they got a little bit bigger than Milo's, but then Milo's went into the sweet tea business, and forget it. They took over with that. So all kinds of craziness. Alabama has its own world, Jarrett. It's really strange sometimes.
It does, and it is. Alabama's a unique place, though.
It is.
Alabama's more diverse than it gets credit for.
It absolutely is. Absolutely is. Jack's has over 200 locations. Good grief.
Yeah, but they've gone more out west and into Florida. They've never really made it here in the Southeast. Apparently, Milo's
Georgia
was ranked among the nation's best in a recent poll.
Milo, say that again, John. Sorry.
Milo's original burger shop was ranked among the nation's best,
I would believe,
according to a poll in something referred to as Far and Wide, a national online food and travel website. They praised Milo's sauce in the explanation.
The sauce is incredible.
For tapping the restaurant as the state's best. This sauce is the key ingredient on a patty topped with onions and pickles and served inside a toasted bun.
Yep.
They
very toasted.
A little something extra to all its burgers, an extra strip of meat for additional heft.
It's amazing. It is outstanding. I highly recommend it. Milo's, if you want to come to Atlanta, that'd be great. We'll still take a sponsorship if you want. I'll take burgers all the time. Mm-hmm. Jack's was okay. Steve's not a fan of Jack's. I'm not going to sue you, Steve. It was okay. It was good. I liked it. I had it on the way, if I remember right. I think I had it on the way over, and then had Milo's on the way back, and Milo's just blew me away. So good stuff. And I did not know Milo Sweet Tea uses brown sugar.
I didn't know that either.
I did not know that. Thank you, Storm Chaser Kevin. I didn't. We're learning all kinds of things this morning about the Southeast and our trip to Alabama coming up this weekend. If you're going to be over there early, or if you're listening from the Alabama region, as some of you are, we're going to be at Ghost Train Brewing On Saturday night, we're going to be hanging out with the Magic City Brigade. We're going to be talking Birmingham Legion. We're going to be talking Atlanta United. We're going to be talking soccer in general. Come see us at Ghost Train from 5 to 7 local time, 6 to 8 if you're going to be watching on Twitch from back here in the Atlanta area. We might just have a special guest on the Twitch portion of the show from the kit reveal. We're working on that to give us the lay of the land, because I think that kit comes out about 7 o'clock or so. It gets unveiled in Piedmont Park. So we might have a little sampling of the scene from Piedmont Park as part of our Twitch show. So looking forward to that. That'll be tomorrow in Birmingham. Jarrett, what are you looking for in this game? We've talked to a bunch of people about this thing coming up on Sunday that you can watch on atlutd.com/live, and you can listen on 92.9 The Game. What are you looking for out of Atlanta United in this match?
I'm looking to see basically if anybody wants to kind of hammer stuff down in terms of position battles, to see who's gonna give them spots at the end of the bench, who's making a name for themselves, like a Blow You, who might be trying to make a name for himself to get a contract with the second team.
There, just the Spears that he tries to talk, and he's sounding like he's talking through a bullhorn. Geez, it's one of those days for old Jarrett. Steve, Jax is not the same as Jack in the Box. They are different. I had to learn that as well. The Jack in the Box that's famous on the West Coast is not Jax. They are different. Yeah, Jarrett imitating a demon. That is correct, Michael. Let's try Jarrett again. See if this is any better. Nope, let's not. He disappeared again before he could even get on the show. He might be being kidnapped. I don't know. Man, you add a couple things to the show in one day, and then Jarrett falls apart on us.
Mm-hmm.
What are we supposed to do with all of this? I just don't know anymore.
Blame me. No,
you have nothing to do with this. Good grief. Why are you doing that?
Because I'm usually the root of all the problems, regardless if I am.
Yeah, but you're not. Oh no, John, you're usually the root of the problems. Let's not play that game when it comes to technology. Yes, usually it is your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Not you get blamed for it when it's not your fault. Usually it's just literally your fault.
That's what I'm saying.
This time it's not. So don't accept the blame. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
U.S. women's national team last night, if you stayed up super late, I'm sorry if you did, because it wasn't the greatest of matches. Scoreless draw against the Czech Republic. 18 shots, 64% of the ball for the U.S. women. Czech Republic parked the bus. They sat back. They've never qualified for a major tournament. But they showed they can defend. First competitive game of the year for all of the U.S. players except for Catarina Macario. That factors into it. Starting lineup, average age, 25.5 years. Youngest starting lineup since April of 2018 against Mexico. It is a new movement here with the U.S. women's national team. Trinity Rodman made her debut. On the veteran side, Becky Sauerbrunn became the 12th player in U.S. history to hit the 200 cap mark. Not a lot to talk about from the game, but there's some things to look at with this group going forward.
Yeah, and it's not a complete, if I remember Vlatko Andonovski after the match, it's not a complete changing of the guard, but you're in that transitional period. And for me, it was good to see Trinity Rodman get minutes, and I know that there's a lot of expectation where she is concerned. She got, I think it was 30 minutes last night. And so you're seeing that mix of the veterans and the Macarios, and Trinity Rodman's getting their minutes. And so it's going to be, for me, it's going to be interesting to watch Vlatko try to navigate the older players that are still there, working their way out because of age and experience, and the younger players coming in. And so it's going to be a difficult dance for him, I think, for this next little bit, in trying to get all of the relationships squared away and who fits well with whom, knowing that the older players are on their way out and you have all these younger players that are going to be a part of your future.
You've got to have some of these younger players step up and take spots. So you've got to get younger with this group. We'll see who does. I think Rodman will be one who does. I think she's the face of this national team over the next decade. I'm not sure who else will be. I thought Rose Lavelle played pretty well last night from what I saw. All right, Jarrett, let's try this again. Are you still a demon, Jarrett?
I have no idea what happened.
You're not a demon anymore, I don't think.
I have
so that's
no
good.
idea what that was. I think my Wi-Fi just went to hell because everything crashed for a minute.
Demonic Wi-Fi.
It wasn't just this. It was like my computer went down, everything. had the Olympics on the background that froze up. That was wild. You asked about the game for Sunday.
Yes.
I'm interested to see, how position battles go, not necessarily for starting spots, but how those depth position goes. Guys like Daniel Bloyu, who's been competing probably for a twos deal. Does he show enough in this last game when he gets opportunities to go and secure that deal? What kind of playing time does he get if he makes
I don't
that?
know if he's playing, Jarrett. I honestly don't think Daniel Bloyu's playing with the first team at all in this one. I think he's probably the twos are playing. I can't remember who on Saturday.
They have a scrimmage. You're right. Thank you.
Yeah, the twos are playing games. Bloyu's not a first team player.
No, I know he's not. That's why
Yeah, but he's not training with them at this point. They're past. I think that's the biggest thing about this game for me is it's past the early games where it's let's see 30 guys. It's let's see 20, maybe 22 if you see 2 11s, maybe. But yeah, the guys like that who I think are not in the 30 anyway are going to be with the twos and trying to earn that twos deal behind closed doors on Saturday.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting then with the twos games, because then that might be where your tighter competitions are, where you might be looking, even though you really can't because it's behind closed doors. That might be one where you're listening out afterward and, to kind of keep track of where you think things are, take a mental image of it, and then get to opening day with the twos and see how things may or may not have changed. Aside from as far as the first team goes, I mean, get out of it without anybody getting hurt and create some chances. How's that?
Yeah, the chance creation is what I'm looking for. We just don't know. I guess the questions at this stage are, Thiago Almada, is he here? Can he be here? What's the deal with his visa? Brooks Lennon, Marcelino Moreno, are they ready to play at all? Can they give you a little bit? Are they still getting back to full fitness? Can they give you 30? Can they give you an appearance? So we know if they could potentially factor in for opening day. No matter what the lineup is, I think chance creation is going to be the thing. And whether that's coming from the pressure that they'll have, which I think they will definitely make it difficult for Birmingham if they try to play out of the back, which isn't something they do a ton. But if they do, they're going to struggle with Atlanta's pressure. But even in the situations where they don't, I think at times we almost have this like, oh, if the other team's going to play long, then you just don't press at all. No, you still press because you want to make it difficult for them to play long. Just think about it. If you're going to play a 5-yard pass or a 10-yard pass, you don't need as much time as if you're going to hit a 50-yard long ball and actually try to pick somebody out with it. So how do you make that more difficult? You don't give them time. And Luis Araujo is flashing around the field like a maniac to try to make it difficult for those guys to hit that long ball. They might hit it into the stands. They might give it away as they're trying to create that long ball.
I feel like he's on a mission this year.
Should be. He should be. It's a big opportunity for him. I think he's a potential. If he has the kind of year that I think he's capable of, he's a potential MVP candidate.
I can see that.
Shocking of a take.
No, it's not. I can see that for sure. But it seems like he is on a scorched earth mission in a good way. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But he seems like he is playing with his hair on fire, and as long as he can maintain it, great. It shouldn't be an issue of supplying firepower to Joseph up top, depending on what kind of shape he is going to be in. Because we've seen flashes, I think, more consistently at the start of preseason. And then we saw a little bit last year, but not consistently. He's coming back from that knee injury to those moments of old Joseph, like the 10-yard burst that no one knows how to deal with, because if they did, they'd have learned to do it already. And I got to watch. I think might be everyone's favorite new signing is, how much time does Dom Dwyer see?
Yeah. These are some of the questions that a lot of it we're going to find out on the fly on Sunday. A couple more minutes in news. If you have questions, fire them off in the Twitch pitch. We will get to those. There's a couple I wanted to grab that you should know. FIFA might have the bar. Traditionally, it's 26. They've considered that, but it might be a different number than those two. They haven't made a final decision yet. That could get interesting. We've talked about, World Cup rosters and who makes it, and we've always talked about 23. There's more possibilities. We had the question yesterday about Aaron Long. Then, it makes it easier for some of those guys to get that trip and get that opportunity. We mentioned Erling Haaland. He is not going to play against Borussia Mönchengladbach. He participated in a training session, just a small part yesterday, according to Marco Rose. Still a few days to go, but he hasn't played for quite a while. This is talking about potentially going to play in the second leg against Rangers. It's a difficult story, so I have no idea. I can't tell you. Of course, the situation is difficult. That's not a good situation for Dortmund. Italy. The CEO of Serie A, Luigi De Ciervo, has confirmed plans that Serie A will have a tournament in the United States during the 2022 World Cup. It's been reported by Tutto Mercato Web and others. He's confirmed that Italian clubs will move to the U.S. during the World Cup and play a friendly tournament involving players who haven't been called up for their national team. So it'll be all the guys who are not playing in the World Cup. Instead of sitting on the beach, they're going to come to the U.S. and play in a tournament. He said, we want to keep our players fit while promoting ourselves in a market which we consider strategic. Fixtures would be scheduled to avoid any overlap with the World Cup calendar. That'll be easy because of the time zones, so you can still play games in prime time here and be just fine. Yes, you might have more players in that competition if Italy doesn't qualify for the World Cup. They still have a little bit of work to do. They play North Macedonia in a semifinal, and they could play Turkey or Portugal in a final to go to the World Cup. Good luck with that. Spain, stadiums are heading back to 100% capacity. From the weekend of March 4th, sports events will see their capacity increase to 100%. That's indoor and outdoor. You don't have any indoor stadiums in La Liga, but for basketball arenas, etc. This is going to happen from the weekend of March 4th, given that things stay where they are with all the indicators. Right now, it is heading in that direction. Last one for me, if you have not seen the highlights of the man that we have talked about many times on this show, Pulga Rodriguez from yesterday. The man hit a corner, tres dedos, kind of the outside of the foot a little bit flick, corner from a corner. You usually do that from like 5 yards away. He did it from the corner. It ends up being an own goal because the goalkeeper is so shocked it comes off of him and goes into the goal. And then his penalty, he did like a combination, Jared. I'm not sure if you've seen this. He had a little bit of the hop in it, which he's been known for over the years. It's a different kind of hop than Joseph and others. It's a Pulga hop. You can't imitate Pulga. But he did it with a short run up too. About as perfect of a penalty as you're going to find. This man's like 37 years old. And still insane. Pulga is going to take Colón into the Copa Libertadores, and you all must watch it. You too, Jared.
It's an order. Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like this is the command more than anything.
It is. You got to watch Facundo Farias on that team, too. He had a great goal. Colón's a fun team to watch. You're looking for a team to adopt in Argentina. Colón de Santa Fe might be the one for a lot of you. It's a really fun team to watch.
And you can watch on Paramount Plus and Fanatics, yes?
Yes, you can. fntz.co/soccer down here if you want to get the Fanati's version, which sometimes you get two different kinds of Spanish commentary.
Yep.
You get the AFA Play edition. You get the TIC edition. Sometimes they get the TNT broadcast in there. You might have choices on the Spanish side, and you get English with Paramount Plus. Okay, questions from the Twitch pitch or comments. Bernd lets us know that Andrade is a question mark for Arminia Bielefeld tomorrow, according to the manager. He's the starting left back. George Bello might get the start for Bielefeld. He's looked good so far off the bench. He's looked really good. So big opportunity for our boy George Bello over in Germany. I'd love to see him get that start. Would love to see that. Airborne DJ has already predicted Luis Araujo will get double-digit goals and assists. I'm kind of right there too.
Yeah.
That would be nice. If he's doing that, if he's doing double-digit goals and assists, I'm operating with the assumption if he does that Joseph will either win or be right there with the Gold Boot.
Yes, I am with it. Modiflow, you're 100% correct. Pulga is amazing. Pulga is life. Pulga is all that is good about the game.
It's the closest that Jason has ever gotten to a cult.
No, that'd be Maradona, but I didn't join the church of Maradona. But Pulga is just,
How do you think Polga would do in MLS? Legitimately,
people wouldn't know what to make of Polga. Look, I've seen people not know what to do with Pity Martinez and Ezequiel Barco in this town. You bring Polga and some of the crazy things that he would try. He tried to hit a volley from 40 yards and he put it into the stands. Well, yeah, what did he do next time? He chipped the goalkeeper from 50 yards and he scored. He did a back heel on the near post on a bouncing ball on a corner that created an opportunity in the first game against Boca in the Copa de la Liga. He tries ish. I love a player who will try ish. Polga is the master of ish. He's amazing.
He's an ish master.
There will be no Polga slander anywhere near me.
Oh,
I
thoroughly, now that I have Paramount Plus and I've had Fanatis, and you got me hooked on Fanatis, I am looking for Defensa y Justicia matches, and their match yesterday was crazy. And watching for Polga now and watching that kind of stuff. And I'm watching River Plate matches now. So, no, I'm locked in. It is above my League Two viewing now, sir. Whether you choose to believe
baby steps.
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe it. You get Forest Green Rovers popping up on a Friday, and John's excited to see Forest Green Rovers.
That's at 2:40 in the afternoon, and I can still watch Argentine.
You get Argentine games.
I still have an issue with Forest Green Rovers because they don't use Forest Green as a main color. What the hell?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's very, very disappointing.
It's trash, is what it is.
That too. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Man, Jarek gets more angry about England than I do sometimes. It's crazy.
I get angry when you basically pick a color out of a box of 64 Crayolas and then don't stick to it.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's kind of dumb. I mean, if you're a team name that has the color in it, you should probably represent that.
You'd think. Yeah.
I mean, just a wild, crazy guess.
There's a thought, yes.
Yeah, like we were in sometimes the team name, it kind of locks you into things. We were Eagles Landing High School.
Mm-hmm.
You had to be the Golden Eagles.
Of course.
You couldn't be the Eagles Landing Hawks.
No.
You couldn't be the Eagles Landing Gators.
No.
Like, you had to be the Golden Eagles.
No.
You lean into it. It ain't hard. Forest Green Rovers. You wear Forest Green. Duh.
That's what we're saying.
But you love that team, John.
I appreciate what they're doing when it comes to having a green footprint as a soccer club.
But you probably should explain a little bit more, because there's probably people who don't know that or know what you're talking about.
They are trying to, and I want to get the wording proper here, but they are trying to be as environmentally conscious with every aspect of their team as humanly possible. And I'm trying to figure out, it's all about sustainability and all those kinds of things. I mean, everything that they do, construction of the stadium, the fabric that they use for their kits and their jerseys, and everything having to do with concessions and all of this, to try to be basically to have all of their resources as renewable as possible when it comes to what they're doing. It's awesome. It's a very, very cool initiative that they're doing.
That's awesome. Wear Forest Green colored shirts, and I'm even more in.
They were the first vegan football club in 2015.
They were a vegan football club?
Yeah, they want to have all of their players with vegan philosophies when it comes to all of their sustenance. Yeah.
That's even more limiting than Chivas or Athletic Club in Bilbao, with having only Mexican players eligible to play for the Mexican national team, or Basque. You're only signing vegan players. Are you sure about that, John?
That seems limiting.
That doesn't seem like that's realistic in any form or fashion. Please tell me you're not giving fake news here.
No,
they only sign vegans.
BBC article in 2016, the completely vegan football club. The traditional beef burger is replaced by quinoa on match day.
No, that's different.
Well,
that's a whole
they're only
different
serving
thing.
Vegan. That doesn't mean they're only signing people who practice vegan.
Yes, that's a completely different thing.
I mean, you can do that and then get out of training and hit up a cookout.
Yes. God, can you imagine if they had cookout in England, Jared?
England wouldn't know what to do with cookout. Are you kidding me?
True.
Oh,
that's probably true.
The Scots would probably be cool with it.
So John, do we have clarification? Are they only signing vegan footballers?
I'm working on that.
Okay, they're not. Let's go ahead and say that they're not, because I don't think there's a huge number of players to choose from if that's the case. Not do your thing, but I'm assuming there's more non-vegan footballers in the world than vegan footballers. I think that's an easy assumption.
And to this point, let's hit this point. They were talking about during the Bodo Glint game yesterday. Bodo Glint spends like 10 months out of the year in snow.
Yes.
So they employ, I think it's either their coach is a psychiatrist or psychologist, and they employ a psychologist to deal with that aspect of it. And psychology is a very big part of everything they do. In game, out of game, everything. They're very much trying to be on the front foot with sports psychology and how you approach literally everything on and off the field. And I feel like we talk about sports psychology a lot of times with athletes, but it's generally a one-off conversation. And It's interesting to hear a club be so out in front about it.
Yeah, I think more clubs need to be. And that was something that Ralph Rangnick brought to the table with Manchester United that I don't think they had really had, which is a really vital piece of all of this. It's something that has to be a bigger part of the conversation.
Okay.
You're looking very closely, John. What do you have?
That's from their website. We decided to become, from Forest Green Rovers website, we decided to become a vegan club because of the huge environmental and animal welfare impact of livestock farming, as well as to improve player performance and give fans healthier, tastier match day food. Eating a plant-based diet instead of animals is one of the biggest things you can do to cut your impact on the planet. Livestock produces just 18% of the calories and 37% of the protein people consume, but it takes up more than 80% of farmland. We need to change that. This is from their website.
Okay, I understand that. But again,
like Sergio Aguero, Lionel Messi, and of course, our second highest shareholder and Premier League player Hector Bellerin, our players benefit from improved performance thanks to a vegan diet. That is what is on their website.
Okay. We'll just have to. I don't think we're going to get more information, but I would not be surprised if there's some guys who are not sticking to that strictly in their lives, and I don't know if that is a prerequisite for their signings. That's what I'm.
Yeah, I would imagine somebody's going to get some fish and chips, maybe go pescatarian with it. But
yeah, I think there's some stretching of it. We spent way more time on the Forest Green Rovers than I would have expected.
No, it's okay. It's an interesting concept.
It is.
And hey, you know what? It worked for Tony Gonzalez, man. Put together a Hall of Fame career, being like one of the most PETA-friendly athletes in the history of the world.
Yeah, it's worked for some. It has worked in different ways for others, going different directions where they've been just fine too. So, it is what it is. But yeah, I did not know to that degree. We'll see how that actually plays out, and I wonder if they wanted to sign somebody if he wasn't vegan, how they would handle that. That's the question I have. Anyway, other things. We spent way too much time on a League Two team. Jason Nix maybe didn't watch last night. I didn't. Says, but is Vlatko wasting this U.S. women's national team? Sir. I know you get worried sometimes, but they're playing in the She Believes Cup. If they don't win the She Believes Cup, it's not the end of the world. I don't think he's wasting anything because they go into qualifying down the road. And they should qualify easily out of CONCACAF. And it's really preparing the team for 23, which is 14 months away from the tournament. I don't think you're wasting anything right now. I think you do have to get these young players playing, because if you don't, I don't think you win in 23. I don't think you stick with the same group. The veterans, only play them to win She Believes Cup games and friendlies. And that's it. And I don't think you do it by playing the way that Jill Ellis had the team playing before either. I think the women's game has modernized way too much. What Vlatko wants to do with his team and the way he wants them to play is the way the modern game's going, but it takes time, and you got to get these young players games. I don't want them to draw 0-0 with the Czech Republic because they need to win those games. But I also don't really care if it benefits them in 23 right now. And that's where they need to get to. I would lean maybe even more into the young players. You can always bring an Alex Morgan back. You can always bring a veteran player back into the team in the final friendlies before the tournament next summer. You can do that and still be fine. And they're veterans. They'll be able to jump back in and be fine. I think you need to see what this next generation can be. And they really do need to lean into it. And if that costs them some results right now, that's okay. It's not a big deal. I think it's way too early to say that he's wasting the team. I think you got to continue to build this progress. And I was worried that I was honestly worried they wouldn't win 19 because I thought that other countries had passed them. England outplayed them in the semifinal. In terms of quality in that game, England outplayed the U.S. in that game. The U.S. got through it, beat the Dutch, who were there for the first time in the final. I think the Dutch are going to be a team to watch in 23. I think England's going to be a team to watch. The Dutch manager is now in England. I think they'll be very, very good. I think Spain will be a team to watch. They haven't given up a goal in like forever. There's a bunch of teams. Germany is always good. France, we know how good they can be. There's going to be some other countries that emerge. Your South American countries aren't there yet. Your African countries aren't there yet. Don't know where Japan is right now. I think they were kind of going through a changeover in their generations as well. But some of these European countries, if the U.S. had just continued to do the same thing for another 4 years, I don't know if the U.S. gets to the final. So I think they have to change it. And if you take some lumps in the short term, that's okay. As long as you take care of it in 23. And if you don't, then it'll be somebody else doing it for 27. That's the challenge of it. Steve reminds us youth soccer opening weekend regular season play. It's coming up soon. Find a ref and thank them.
Yes.
And if it's a kid, it's a young referee, stop yelling at them. There's plenty of pro referees you can yell at in your spare time. Don't yell at the kids who are trying to learn how to ref. I think it's in Germany that does it. I really liked the idea. Soccer America had an article about it where they have young referees who are still, I think it's past apprentices, but they're still learning. They're still considered like up and coming referees. They wear different color socks. So everybody knows, hey, this is somebody who's on the way up. Don't be a jerk. That would be a cool model, I think, for some clubs to follow here, because there's just too much of parents who don't know the laws of the game themselves yelling at referees, and they quit. And we don't know if they could have turned into a pro referee. If we're going to complain about pro referees, and we do, and look, it's one of the hardest jobs in sports, but they're getting paid to do it, and we have to talk about it when it doesn't go well. That's part of the gig. That's not what the 16-year-old referee on the weekend is doing. And we have to give them the opportunity to find out if they can be that. We have to figure this stuff out. And I hope that Georgia Soccer, which has been really out in front of this, plenty of other state associations have, the clubs as well. I hope that everybody can find even more ways to protect these young referees. I really, really hope that can happen. Modiflow, Pulga is what I love about soccer. Yes. Acknowledge Pulga. That is your lesson of the day. Acknowledge Pulga. Let's see what else we got. Jason Nix wanted to know if you were on ham radio today, Jarrett.
No, I'm not. Thank you, though.
What would your handle be?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that. I'm not going to put that much thought into it either.
El Gigante?
I mean,
would you say
whatever makes y'all happy? You know what? Whatever makes y'all happy.
KSU Al for life.
Look, I am so happy right now. First of all, the fact that we got a KSU kid on Jeopardy just waxing away the Ivy League kids. That is amazing. And I will claim that all day long, because I gave Kennesaw State way too much of my own money for school and for football. But they got a kid on from KSU out there destroying these Ivy League kids on College Jeopardy.
Love it. Kevin wants to know, John, if you're watching Plymouth Argyle and is it Gillingham?
Gillingham. First off, I would have to look on ESPN Plus and see if it actually is.
You can probably watch it another way if you're as hardcore as you say you are, John.
But you're assuming I know how to work the whole VPN thing and not downloading evil things into my computer.
Well, there's iFollow as well, which I don't think would involve the VPN. But yeah, you probably have done
that's
that
an
before.
entirely different conversation.
Yeah,
John trying to like illegally stream something would.
He has at some point.
Oh, I have absolutely, and it was.
But he's going to activate. He's going to activate Skynet.
Yeah, he probably did.
No, I mean it was I forget what the old website was that had all of the games on it, but you had to click through all of the windows that were all of the pop-ups, and it was like Russian or something. It was like sports to sportscores.eu or something like that.
It all explains so much. All explains just so much.
Oh yeah. And no, that was how I would watch, but you download so many evil things into a computer that and then they have to change their URL every couple of weeks because they get tracked down.
Thomas with a question, Jarrett. Can you imagine Cookout's version of Mushy Peas?
It's Cookout, so I'm going to assume that it would actually be good.
It probably would.
If that makes sense. Like, you're asking Cookout to do it, they'll find a way to make it good.
Yeah.
The only other thing, by the way, that I would love to see them bring to England is Culver's.
Ooh.
Culver's is all right.
Culver's is all right. I don't know if they would know what to do with it, though.
I didn't really know what to do with it at first. It's all right.
Yep. Large burger, and I like the fries that they make and the shakes.
They do these things a little bit different. The shakes. Do you know why they're different, John?
No. Why are they different? Is it custard?
Yes. It's frozen custard.
Okay.
Yeah. I was going to let you explain that, Jarrett, but he remembered a little bit.
This is unlike you give a Cookout milkshake to someone from England, and it's just basically soft. It's basically Quikrete.
Yeah.
It's the same consistency of Quikrete right when you put water on it.
You got to wait a half hour, and then it's really good.
Yes.
Oh, it's amazing when you wait. Like, I used to pick them up inside the past. Like, I used to pick them up on the North Side Drive one on the way into Colony Square when I worked at the station, and like sitting through the dumb traffic to get, through all the chaos. By the time I got there and got settled in, it was perfectly ready. It was wonderful. Because there's no good way to get from North Side Drive over to Colony Square. Not in a reasonable amount of time.
No, forget it. It ain't happening. It's not happening at all. Let's see. Monoflow says your ham radio handle would be the Scottish Giant.
Okay.
That'd be interesting because you're not Scottish, but it'd be interesting.
No, it's I'm not, and that's gonna rankle some feathers that I'm not trying to wrangle.
It would.
So
I think they'd claim you though. They seem very welcoming.
They seem welcoming, and I did get Scottish approval during the Euros.
Yes, you did.
I've been riding this train for long enough, and like laughing at the misfortune of England, and honestly, I've spent the last 2 days trash talking England's. I think Jason has been subjected to some of this, trash talking. Some of England's performances, or the Great Britain's performance, in the Olympics, because the entire curling team is Scottish. Y'all get some independence. Great Britain ain't getting a medal. Like, 2 of those curlers are from Glasgow and 2 are from Stirling. They get independence, and Great Britain's no longer getting curling medal.
Oh, I don't know if they can handle that, Jarrett.
Well, I mean, you know what? They can try and claim John Schuster or something.
They probably would try to claim him. I don't think that'd work, though. I don't know what the changing nationalities at the Olympic level and in curling, if you can do that. You can't do that in the soccer world. I don't know if you can in the curling world.
Well, you can do it in the Olympic level because you have the woman who won the monobob, the single woman bobsled, was competing for Canada, had a fallout with the Canadian coach, and changed her affiliation to the United States.
Yep.
Okay, so you can just flip.
Dual citizenship.
Yeah, she became a naturalized citizen, I think, 2 weeks before the Olympics. So I was.
Yeah, I think she had married someone who was American, and enough time had passed, so she became naturalized. You can do it. It's controversial though. Like it does draw controversy within the sporting world.
I could see that. Some last little bits of news. Montreal has unveiled their secondary shirt. I'm curious to see what they pair the shorts with. If they go with the blue shorts, that could look kind of cool, but it's different. I'm sure there's an explanation of what it is. it's kind of like blue splashes, but they're kind of like veins is what it looks like on the front of the shirt. It's kind of cool. I want to see it like on the field from a distance and see what it looks like, but it's kind of cool. Like I said before, I think the more outside the box you go with some of these, the more hit or miss you bring into the equation.
Yeah.
This one's a little bit of a hit. I'm okay with it. I'm all right with it. That's out. I think that's it on the news front. I think that's it. And we're going to leave it with the words of the day from Thomas. Always get hush puppies anytime you're somewhere that serves hush puppies.
This is accurate.
Yes.
It is accurate.
You should never say no to hush puppies.
True. Absolutely.
That is your lesson of the day. So Sunday, well, first off, Saturday, we'll be in Birmingham. We'll be on Twitch, twitch.tv/soccer down here with the Magic City Brigade from Ghost Train Brewing, 5 to 7 local, 6 to 8 Eastern time. If you're watching on Twitch, you can be at the kit unveiling in Piedmont Park. You can have us on your phone. We'll be talking about the game on Sunday. That's from 6 to 8 Eastern, 5 to 7 Central at Ghost Train Brewing in Birmingham. Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern time, pregame coverage, 3:30-ish kickoff, an hour of postgame coverage, full-time report on the radio, 92.9 The Game, our first radio broadcast of 2022, last preseason game of the year for Atlanta United. We'll see what we're talking about on Monday as we reconvene here on the Twitch pitch and break it all down and really start to freak out as we get into match week, the first of the MLS season. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks to Michael Parkhurst. Thanks to Greg Garza. Thanks to Mike Conti for being on the show today. Thanks for watching. We'll see y'all tomorrow from Birmingham. We'll see you back here on Monday. Much platio.
Much platio.
Mucho platio.